They say some truths are too powerful to be spoken plainly, that once revealed, they change the seeker forever. And perhaps no saying in all of mystical Christianity has stirred such quiet awe, such trembling curiosity, as saying 22 from the Gospel of Thomas, a riddle whispered across centuries, a mystical formula for inner alchemy, a declaration so bold that, if understood, it could dissolve the boundaries between the human and the divine. When you make the two one, then you will enter the kingdom. What does that mean? What two must become one? The answer has been debated by scholars, mystics, Gnostics, and contemplatives for nearly 2,000 years. Yet beneath all the theories lies a deeper invitation, a hidden architecture of consciousness that only reveals itself when the mind becomes still enough, brave enough to ask, what within me is divided? And who would I become if that division dissolved? Today, we journey into one of the most enigmatic teachings attributed to Jesus. Not the Jesus of dogma, but the Jesus of mystery, the revealer of secrets, the guide of the inner temple. We'll explore the ancient origins of this teaching, the philosophical layers buried within it, and the esoteric wisdom it points toward. Wisdom that has echoed across civilizations, from Egypt and Greece to Persia, India, and beyond. This is not an intellectual exercise. It is an initiation, a map for the human soul. In this video, we will uncover the hidden meaning behind saying 22. Why this teaching is far older than Christianity. How it mirrors the essential practices of ancient mystery schools. The profound inner transformation this union of the two demands. And how you can begin experiencing this truth, not as an idea, but as a living reality. So take a breath. Let the noise of the world soften, because once you understand what the two becoming one truly signifies, the way you see yourself, your relationships, and even the universe itself will never be the same. Let us begin. To understand the power of Thomas saying 22, we must first step out of the familiar corridors of Western religious history and into the shadowed halls where early mystics gathered long before Christianity became an institution. The Gospel of Thomas is not a narrative account. It tells no stories of miracles, no timelines, no crucifixion. Instead, it is a collection of coded teachings, hidden sayings, that claim to preserve the voice of Jesus as the whisperer of mysteries rather than the preacher of doctrines. Scholars call it a Gnostic text, but that word barely scratches the surface. The Gospel of Thomas is a spiritual artifact from a time when seekers did not merely believe, they sought to know. This teaching arose in an era saturated with esoteric cross-pollination. Egypt was a melting pot of Hebrew mysticism, Greek philosophy, Persian dualism, Egyptian temple wisdom, and early Christian thought. Its desert monasteries, such as those near Nag Hammadi, where the Thomas text was found in 1945, were more like spiritual laboratories. They were places where hermits, mystics, and contemplatives tried to pierce the veil and reclaim the inner teachings lost beneath layers of ritual and tradition. Saying 22 itself bears the fingerprints of this older lineage. Its emphasis on union echoes the Hermetic notion that as above, so below. It resembles the alchemical marriage of opposites, the yogic integration of Shiva and Shakti, the Taoist balance of yin and yang, and even the Egyptian formula of uniting the Ka and the Ba to become a luminous spirit. It is as if Jesus' teaching is not exclusive to one culture, but a universal key, an ancient, perennial truth dressed in the language of his time. But why did this knowledge fade? Why did it become obscured, even forbidden? Part of the reason is that mystical truths resist institutional control. A church can regulate beliefs, but it cannot govern personal revelation. Teachings like make the two one, point inward. They empower the individual, bypassing hierarchy, ritual, and external authority. This posed a threat to early orthodoxy, which sought unity through uniform doctrine, not inner transformation. Thus, many such teachings were dismissed as heresy, condemned, or quietly forgotten. Yet they survived, hidden in caves, whispered by mystics, encoded in symbols. Like a message in a bottle drifting across centuries, saying 22 waited for seekers who could understand its deeper implications, and those implications are vast. The two it speaks of are not merely philosophical ideas. They are the fundamental dualities that shape human experience. The division between body and spirit, masculine and feminine, light and shadow, inner world and outer world, conscious mind and unconscious depths. To make the two one is to reconcile all that has been split apart, to return to the original wholeness before the world taught us to fragment ourselves. In the ancient world, this was not metaphor. It was the basis of spiritual evolution. The highest mysteries, whether Eleusinian, Egyptian, or Gnostic, revolved around the idea that humans carry within themselves a lost unity, a divine spark imprisoned in a divided nature. And saying 22 offers a blueprint for reclaiming that hidden fire. As we move deeper into the next sections, we will unravel the layers of this blueprint, exploring not only what these two parts represent, but why the act of unifying them opens the gates to an entirely different level of consciousness. The journey into inner oneness begins now. If saying 22 were merely poetic, it would have faded into the silent dust of forgotten scrolls. But it endured because its message is not metaphorical. It is experiential. It speaks to a transformation that happens within the seeker, a shift so profound that ancient mystics described it as a second birth. The saying begins with an almost impossible instruction. When you make the two one, immediately we're confronted with a paradox. How do you merge what seems fundamentally opposite? Yet this tension is deliberate. Like a koan from Zen tradition, the saying aims to break open the rigid logic of the ordinary mind, because the two Jesus speaks of are not external objects. They are internal forces that shape the very fabric of our identity. Let's begin with the most obvious, the split between the outer self and the inner self. Every human being carries a public face, the expression we show the world, and a hidden face, the silent observer within. Most people live their entire lives caught between these two, constantly negotiating, pretending, adjusting. Ancient mystics saw this division as the root of human suffering. The Gospel of Thomas challenges that divide. It calls for a reconciliation so complete that the performer and the observer become one seamless presence. No masks, no split consciousness, only unity. But saying 22 goes further. It speaks of joining the male and the female into a single one, a line that has baffled literalists for centuries. Ancient seekers understood this as the merging of complementary energies within, assertiveness and receptivity, reason and intuition, structure and flow. These are not gendered traits. They are universal forces. Every tradition that touched the threshold of enlightenment taught that harmony between these energies is essential. Without it, consciousness remains locked in imbalance, perpetually swinging between extremes. Then comes the most mysterious instruction. When you make the inner like the outer, and the outer like the inner. Here, Jesus points to the dissolving of boundaries altogether. The ancient world believed that reality has two layers, the visible world of form and the invisible world of essence. Most people live trapped in form, reacting to circumstances, believing what they see. But the mystic learns to reverse this flow, to let the inner being shape the outer world, not the other way around. To make the inner and outer the same is to align one's internal state so completely with one's external actions that there is no conflict, no fragmentation. It is pure coherence. This is not a simple concept. It's a radical shift in consciousness. It means refusing to live as a divided self. It means looking at every contradiction within you: fear and courage, desire and restraint, love and anger, and realizing they are not enemies, but unintegrated expressions of the same life force. The ancient mystery schools taught that human beings are born into duality: light versus shadow, matter versus spirit, self versus world. But the Thomas saying insists that these divisions are illusions created by an unawakened mind. True transformation occurs when the seeker begins to see the common source beneath the apparent opposites. When the surface splits, collapse into the hidden unity beneath them. And this is where the saying becomes truly revolutionary. It implies that enlightenment is not achieved by escaping the world or suppressing desire. It is achieved by integrating all aspects of oneself into a single, harmonious center. It is unity through inclusion, not avoidance. In the next part, we will peel back even deeper layers, exploring the hidden symbols embedded within this saying, the misunderstandings that have surrounded it for centuries, and the extraordinary states of consciousness it ultimately points toward. The true meaning of the two becoming one is far more expansive than most imagine, and its implications reach into every corner of human experience. To fully grasp the depth of saying 22, we must descend into the symbolic architecture beneath its surface, because this teaching was never meant to be read literally. It was designed as a doorway, a cipher, a key that unlocks a specific state of consciousness when contemplated deeply enough. Let us begin with a line often overlooked, yet central to the entire teaching. When you make the above like the below, and the below like the above. This is not merely poetic symmetry. It is a direct echo of the Hermetic axiom, as above, so below. A principle known throughout the ancient world as the law of correspondence. In practical terms, it means the macrocosm and microcosm are mirrors. What happens within the individual reflects the greater universe, and vice versa. Early mystics believed that by harmonizing one's inner world, one could tap into the structure of reality itself. But here lies the deeper secret. Saying 22 doesn't simply ask you to mirror the realms. It asks you to merge them, to experience a level of awareness where the boundaries between the finite and the infinite blur, where the seeker no longer feels like a tiny spark lost in a vast cosmos, but begins to sense the entire cosmos vibrating within the spark. Another cryptic element in this saying involves the hand in place of hand, foot in place of foot, image in place of image. Many have misunderstood this as a strange biological metaphor, but its meaning is far more esoteric. Ancient Gnostics taught that humans possess two bodies, an outer, visible body, and an inner, luminous one, the image, or the twin. Most people live identified only with the physical form, unaware of the radiant counterpart that exists just beneath perception. To make image in place of image is to dissolve this duality until the seeker experiences themselves not as a physical being with moments of spiritual clarity, but as a spiritual being briefly inhabiting a physical form. This was the great secret of the mystery traditions. Enlightenment does not require abandoning the body. It requires discovering the deeper identity hidden within it. But saying 22 also addresses a deeper paradox. The unification of opposites is not achieved through force. It is achieved through recognition. The ancient sages insisted that light and shadow are not rivals. They are interdependent expressions of a single source. This is why the saying emphasizes unity, not victory, of one side over another. Modern life teaches us to resist our contradictions, suppress the shadow, ignore the intuition, glorify logic, dismiss emotion. But the mystics knew suppression strengthens division. Integration dissolves it. One of the greatest misunderstandings surrounding saying 22 is the assumption that it promotes androgyny or literal fusion of sexes. But the ancient world used male and female as symbolic archetypes of cosmic polarity. The aim was not to erase difference, but to reconcile complementarity. In the Gnostic worldview, the human soul is incomplete until these polarities are harmonized, like two wings of the same bird. Only united can consciousness rise. Now, consider the radical implication. If the two become one and the seeker becomes whole, the distinction between the human and the divine begins to fade. This is why more orthodox traditions found such teachings dangerous. They point not to worship, but to awakening, not to obedience, but to realization. Saying 22 reveals a truth long buried beneath layers of dogma. The kingdom is not a place. It is a state of consciousness attained when all inner divisions collapse. When the seeker becomes unified, integrated, complete, the kingdom is simply what remains when the fragmented self dissolves. But how does one achieve such a state? How does one begin to integrate these ancient principles into the fabric of modern life? In the next section, we will shift from the mystical to the practical, exploring techniques, contemplations, and inner exercises that bring this teaching from theory into living, breathing experience. All mystical teachings eventually arrive at the same threshold. Insight must become embodiment. Understanding the meaning of saying 22 is only the beginning. The true alchemy begins when this understanding is woven into daily life, when the two becoming one becomes a lived experience rather than an intellectual idea. The ancient mystics did not leave these transformations to chance. They practiced specific exercises, rituals, and modes of awareness designed to dissolve inner division and awaken the deeper unity within. What follows are adaptations of those practices, approachable, grounded techniques that still carry the resonance of their esoteric origins. 1. The mirror of duality. Inner observation practice. Begin with a simple exercise. Observe yourself throughout the day, not as a single personality, but as a chorus of voices. Notice how the inner and outer selves often conflict. The inner wants rest, while the outer pushes productivity. The inner holds fear, while the outer performs confidence. Do not judge these contradictions. Watch them. Acknowledge them. The moment you see the division without resisting it, you loosen its hold. Ancient Gnostics taught that awareness itself begins the merging process. 2. The breath of union, a centering technique. Sit comfortably and draw a slow inhale through the nose. Imagine this breath descending through the body like a quiet river. As you exhale, imagine the same breath rising back upward as a column of light. With each breath, feel the vertical axis of your being, the above and below, softening into a single continuous flow. This simple visualization aligns the physical and subtle bodies, helping the two images begin to overlap. Do this for 5 minutes each morning. Over time, many notice a subtle shift. Emotions and thoughts move in harmony instead of conflict. Awareness becomes more cohesive, more centered. 3. Shadow integration, reuniting the hidden self. One of the most profound ways to make the inner like the outer is to bridge the gap between who you believe you are and the parts of yourself you avoid. Spend a few minutes writing down traits you reject. anger, jealousy, neediness, insecurity. These qualities often represent shadow aspects carrying energy you've exiled. Speak to these inner fragments. Ask what they want. Treat them as forgotten children, not enemies. Integration happens through compassion, not suppression. This practice mirrors ancient teachings. The shadow is not darkness to be defeated, but light that has forgotten itself. 4. Embodying the sacred pair, balancing polarities. Choose a pair of opposites that resonate with you: strength and softness, focus and surrender, logic and intuition. Dedicate one day each week to consciously embodying one quality. The next day, embody the other. On the third day, merge them. Speak, act, and decide from both simultaneously. This triad practice originates in early monastic communities, helping seekers move beyond polarized states into a unified presence. Over time, you'll feel these energies no longer battling inside you. They begin to cooperate. 5. Creating inner-outer coherence, living without masks. Commit to one small act each day that aligns your outer expression with your inner truth. It could be speaking honestly when you'd normally stay silent, or resting when your ego insists you keep working. These micro-acts become seeds of coherence. As you repeat them, you begin to experience what the ancient teachings promise: a life lived from a single center rather than a fractured identity. Common pitfalls on this path. As powerful as this work is, it is not without challenges. 3 obstacles arise often. Impatience. Unity unfolds slowly. The divided self has been conditioned for decades. Dissolving those lines takes time. Self-judgment. Many resist their shadow or try to fix themselves. Integration is not repair. It is reunion. Over-intellectualizing. The mind wants to analyze unity, but unity is felt, not solved. Drop from the head into the body whenever possible. As you practice these techniques, an unexpected phenomenon begins to occur. The boundaries between your inner and outer lives blur. You feel more peaceful, yet more powerful. More grounded, yet more expansive. This is what the mystics called the first taste of the kingdom. Not a destination, but a state of being. A wholeness that was always there, waiting beneath the noise. In the next and final section, we will gather these threads together, reflect on the journey, and leave you with a closing insight designed to echo long after the video ends. As our journey through the depths of Thomas saying 22 draws to a close, we return to the heart of this ancient teaching, an instruction so simple in its wording, yet so vast in its implications. When you make the two one. Across this exploration, we've wandered through forgotten deserts where mystics sought hidden wisdom, through the symbolic language of inner alchemy and into the intimate landscape of the human psyche. We've seen how this teaching reaches across cultures and epochs, echoing through Hermetic philosophy, Eastern traditions, and the secret chambers of mystery schools. At every turn, it points toward the same revelation, that the kingdom is not something bestowed from above, but something uncovered from within. This is the invitation. Saying 22 offers each of us, not to escape our humanity, but to illuminate it, not to abandon contradiction, but to transcend it by seeing the unity beneath all opposites. When the inner and the outer begin to align, when the conscious mind and the shadow cease to war, when the masculine and feminine energies within us sit at the same table, something extraordinary happens. A deeper intelligence awakens, a clarity emerges. Life itself becomes less of a struggle and more of a dance. And perhaps this is why Jesus framed this teaching, not as a belief to adopt, but as a transformation to live into. The two become one, not through force, but through awareness, not through fear, but through integration. It is a journey each seeker must walk in their own way, at their own pace. As you reflect on the exercises, the stories, and the insights shared today, consider this final question, a question that has lingered at the core of every spiritual tradition. What within you is still divided, and what might your life become if that division dissolved? If this exploration stirred something within you, I invite you to continue the journey. Share your thoughts, your experiences, your questions. Engage with this ancient wisdom, and above all, keep walking the path of unity, because every step toward inner wholeness ripples outward in ways far greater than we often realize. Until our next exploration, stay curious, stay open, and may the light within guide your way.